Welcome to Draft 3 of the 2018-2019 school budget. If you may recall from the first two drafts, we had some work to do. And so I'd like to again introduce you to our Assistant Superintendent for Business, Ms. Mary O'Neill, and our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Instruction, and Personnel, Dr. Ronald Valenti.
Greetings.
Yes, and so we've done some work since draft 2, well actually since draft 1, and so we just would like to share with the community where we are in the budget process, because we do know that the budget vote is upon us within a couple of short weeks. And so since draft 1, I believe, for draft 1, we had about $4.7 million in reductions. And so we've done some work in that aspect, and the community can always view that video, which is archived on our website, and they can also view it through our app. And then when we got to draft 2, Dr. Valenti, I believe we had another $2.3 million remaining for reductions. Am I correct, Ms. O'Neill?
Absolutely. We actually went from draft 1 to draft 2 with a $2.3 million reduction. And then to get to our current draft, we had to reduce another 2.3.
So, what have we done since draft 2?
Well, the good news is
Well,
that all of
we
those
don't. Well, let's see. Well, let's see. We'll
Warren-
save that to the end. We'll see.
We'll
hold that to the end. Let's let the community know the process. What have we done?
Well, since draft 2, we worked with the building administrators, we worked with the department heads, and again, they prioritized their needs and they further reduced the things that they were asking for. We were also able to reduce some of our overtime and substitute costs by about $125,000. It was, as we look back through our historical data, your substitute costs in instructional subs has declined each year for the last several years. So we were able to reduce the budget by about $75,000 based on increased accountability that you've done.
So, Dr. Valenti, talk to me a little bit about the decrease in cost for substitute, because that's always been a thorn in the side of our school district.
Yes, and I think there is one driving force for that. It's a better use of our master schedule to ensure there's an administrative period for each teacher during which the principal has the authority, the freedom, the responsibility to assign one of the teachers who is there, free that period to cover a particular class. The double value of that is you're not paying that teacher for that substitution, and you have an experienced, or at least a teacher on staff with expertise of being one of your own who is going in as a substitute. Now, you can't use that for all substitution. I want to make that clear. But I think a better use of that in an 8-period master schedule at the high school, middle school 7 to 12, and an effective use of that at the elementary K to 6 and their general 9-period schedule is probably conducive to a good deal of reduction in those courses.
And also, too, Mrs. O'Neill, I know we brought in software of ASOP. Has that been helpful in terms of accountability for attendance?
We brought in ASOP as well as timepiece.
That's right.
So we've been utilizing some new softwares, and we've seen absences decrease, as you know, in the last couple of years, which also decreases our substitute costs.
Fantastic. Okay, continue. Tell us what else have we done since draft 2.
Okay, well, we've had, each couple times a year we have open enrollment for health insurance, and we've had some staff that have moved from more expensive plans to the cheaper plans. So we were able to have some costs in health insurance that way. We received some final rates on our health insurance, which were a little bit lower. So overall, we were able to reduce our health insurance by about $230,000. We've had some of our students have been leaving the district, out of district placements. We're bringing them back into the district. So we have a combination of exiting students and students returning to the district. And that saves the district about $684,000.
Now, will these students, Dr. Valenti, still be serviced as if they were out of the district? Because that's key. We want to make sure the students get what they need.
Well, first of all, the expense per student out of district is substantial. The community should know it could range 60,000 plus.
Well over
right?
100, that's right.
So if a student moves out of Greenburgh, then we are no longer responsible for payment. But that student would receive equivalent services in the district they moved to, paid for by the taxpayers of that district. Then some students age out. That's the second thing. They graduate. So in effect, what we have at work here are several placements that were out of district at the rate of about 60 to 80,000 each, to wit the savings of about 600,000. So I'd say that accounts for about 8 students.
That's impressive. Okay. What about building budget prioritized?
Well, I went back to the buildings, and the building, all the building principals were really good about looking at their budgets yet again. They were able to look at their budgets and further reduce what they needed for next year.
Are you talking about the wish list?
The wish list.
Okay.
The wish list, everybody has a wish list. But they were great. They went through and looked back at their budgets. They still have more next year than they do this year. So, they're still moving, up incrementally in small amounts, but they have what will meet their needs for next year.
So although we were able to identify some reductions, what you're saying is that all the buildings and departments still have more than what they had last year.
Yes.
Great. So we're not taking away from instruction at all.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Sounds like we're also improving and increasing on some of the instruction offerings, such
We
as...
are, yes. And that's the good news, that most of the cuts that Mary referred to are in the non-instructional area or in areas that do not impact the K-12 curriculum and instruction. So the advanced learning program, kindergarten through 6th grade, is well on its way.
That's
We
exciting.
anticipate its implementation next year, full implementation from grades 1 to 6. We're working toward the IB diploma program. Next year is the last year of planning, which will include professional development, teachers taking courses, curriculum writing. We're looking at a writing program, the Hockman method, that we'd like to at least initiate K to 4 and maybe extend it over the course of the next 2 or 3 years to middle and high school. And obviously our literacy efforts are continuing in the Wilson area, Just Words, Foundations, and the intervention, Tier 1 intervention. So we have a combination of factors there. Curriculum mapping continues. I think the community is delighted to know that come this summer, they will be able to see online curriculum from K to 6 in math and English language arts. So if I have a child in any of those grades, I can go online and find out precisely what is the curriculum, what are the expectations, what are the goals, what are the essential issues that child will confront, and let's say grade 3 math for next academic year. And then by the end of the summer, we'd like to see if we could add science to that potpourri as well.
Sure.
So these are all important initiatives that we've continued that have not been axed in any way or cut because they're fundamental and core to instruction. Last point I'd make is that while the major effort is general fund, we do use our title funds very carefully.
Yes.
And we ensure that they supplement this type of professional development, curriculum writing, etc. And we've done our share, and I've used the term before, resource allocation. Where we've saved money in certain areas, for example, retirements, we've been able to reallocate those monies to other purposes.
Correct, very good. And also, too, addressing the needs of our second language learners through our Title III dollars.
Exactly.
And the goal is not to return any of the federal dollars.
No, they
all
all
won't be being used. Exactly, exactly. So it's great to know that our buildings and our departments prioritize without touching the instructional programs. And it sounds like what we were able to do was actually enhance those instructional offerings to our students. So we have even more than what we've had last year, which is great. We've also had an increase in state aid this year, did we not, Ms. O'Neill?
Yes, we did. Now that the budget is finally passed, we see from our last budget, from our last draft, we see another $105,000 increase, which is great news for us because again, it offsets any decreases that we have to make.
So can we use that $105,000 any way we wish, or is that money earmarked?
Well, it's earmarked as it's in the state aid, so it's supporting the entire budget per se. So you can't just go ahead and say, I have an extra 105,000, let's buy this new. It's part of your general fund budget now.
Okay. And so what does all of this mean?
Well, all of this means our draft 3 or proposed budget is at $68,760,410. We have a tax levy increase of 2.99%, and we're under the tax cap.
So we're what, Dr. Valenti?
What it means? Can I say it?
You can say it now. He's been dying to say it.
I'm sorry.
In layman's terms, we have the best of both worlds.
We do.
You have a very solid instructional program going forward, cutting edge, if I may say, and you've kept the tax rate under the cap.
Yes.
What more could taxpayer resident ask for?
That's right. And also, too, not only did we keep our instructional programs intact, we've enhanced the programs, but we have world-class programs.
Mm-hmm.
There are programs in our district that you will not find in any other district in a neighboring area. So I'm very proud of that. I think the ALP, the Mandarin program, the IB program, just what we're doing in terms of the writing initiatives, and let's not forget STEAM, because STEAM is still strong in our school district. These programs is what is going to make us that world-class district that we've talked about several years ago.
What you've established right now is what I call the follower effect.
Mm-hmm.
We've established a number of districts that are beginning to adopt
I know.
our programs.
Oh, I know.
Fontes-Sempinel being one example. The Mandarin in some places. So you're going to be seeing more and more districts coming online, the IB diploma program being another, with some of these, what I call 21st century programs.
Sure.
Right? You are building the future. This is the next 20 years of where education ought to be. So the investment is worthwhile, and you're going to see a number of districts in this region, Westchester, which is one of the best counties in the nation, following suit.
And I appreciate that, and you're absolutely correct. And what I want the community to know is that we are so committed to making sure that our students have the opportunity to compete on a global scale, and I think that we're doing all that we can. And let's not forget too, Dr. Valenti, the work that we've done in preparing the students for the SAT, and we're looking at possibly ACT preparation for students, because ACT is equivalent to the SAT, and colleges are looking at the ACT in the same manner in which they're looking at the SAT. So we're sort of out of the box thinkers, and I love the fact that we're this cutting edge school district. I'm even going to take it as far as saying even the way we're presenting the budget to our community. I'm getting a lot of questions about that, the effectiveness of doing this electronically, and I want to thank the community for accepting this new way of bringing information to you. The last few budget presentations that we've made to you, we've had well over 100 viewers. Typically, when we meet face-to-face with our community, we have about 5 or 6 of you sitting there with us. And so we thank you for accepting us into your homes this way and presenting this budget to you. I do want to share and reiterate once again that we are under the tax cap. We will have our budget hearing on May 1st, 2018, and that will be at Woodlands High School at 6:30 p.m. And please do not forget that Tuesday, May 15th, from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. is the school budget vote. Please exercise your right to vote, and keep in mind that you're voting on behalf of the children of the Greenburgh Central School District. So we thank you for your time. We once again encourage you to ask questions about this draft 3 budget. We're all very happy to answer your questions. Please send your questions to budget201819@greenburghcsd.org, or pick up the phone and call any one of us. You can call Dr. Valenti if you have curriculum-related questions. You can call Mary O'Neill if you have questions about the budget itself, or you can call me. I'm more than happy to answer your question. And I'm sure any one of our board members are available to answer your questions as well. Once again, I want to remind you that we are under the tax cap, and we have maintained our instructional programs, but we also enhanced them as well, as you heard in this presentation. And the budget vote is Tuesday, May 15th. from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Woodlands Middle High School. Community, I thank you so much for your unwavering support. Keep in mind, last year, you supported our budget by a 74% margin each year. That number continues to increase, at least each year that I've been the superintendent. I thank you for believing in my leadership. I thank you for believing in the programs that we have collectively brought into the school district. And most importantly, I thank you for believing in our children.